All right, let's get started. The theme for today is to talk about content that flows. So, how do we at KONE deliver smart information for smarter cities? So, thank you, Fabrice, for inviting us to have this discussion with you. We're not going to do a quick run through of a lot of slides, so I'm hoping that this will be more like an interactive discussion. We've done this before, and I think they've been quite nice. So let's see how this goes. But I'll start first with introducing myself. So I am the digital content lead at KONE R&D. What it actually means is that I try to develop and hopefully also successfully develop delivered channels for our content to be delivered. Mostly now we're talking about field when we talk about digital delivery, but also to other applications used by for example our sales. So content for technical information to KONE applications. 20 plus years. I keep saying that I'm not going to up that with 5 years. So 25 years of experience from the TC domain. Been working in many different jobs, let's say, within the TC. So as a writer, illustrator first, information designer, information architect, and then also now my current role includes quite a lot of many things in that. I've also been studying on the academic side. I also have a PhD on interactive technology side. So that is actually what I try to do, combine the principles of what I know from the human arts, humanities side, with the novel technologies that basically then can help you to get the information to the people who need it. And over to you, Kristian.
Yeah, thank you. Kristian Forsman here. So I'm acting as a, in a way, IT product owner for the tools that we use for creating content, delivering them, publishing, translating. So basically, I'm trying to implement what Hanna comes up with. Not always the easiest thing, but very fun because they are always kind of new things and challenging. So that is something that I like doing, and I've been doing that for some time as well in this domain. Many times you need a bit of logic, so that's why I think my mathematic background is good. But really happy to be here. Over to you, Fabrice.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Fabrice Lacroix, the founder and CEO of Fluid Topics, software, a veteran of the software industry. So I kept my counter at 25, just like you and Kristian. At some point, you stop counting. And so yeah, mostly spent my entire career on the content side, which means search, technology, content enrichment, content delivery. So pretty much, very much in line with what we do today at Fluid Topics.
Yes, between the three of us, we have quite a lot of experience within this domain. So let's see what we can tell you about it. So I'll move on. I'll do a little bit of introductions about KONE. Most of you do recognize the name. If you don't, when you are going on your elevator, escalator, please look up the name. So we are one of the biggest ones in that we talk about. We move people, and we definitely do it successfully if you don't notice us. So, but please look down or look next to the calling buttons, and you can probably see our name when you are moving. But what our purpose is, I like to say that we shape the future of cities. So basically, what is happening now in the world, people are moving in from rural areas to urban cities, and increasingly so. So that is development that has been happening and will basically increase in space. More and more people are moving into cities. More and more people therefore choose to live in the cities, but we're gonna want to shape the future of the cities and how people move in the cities, how they actually get around in the cities. So big things that we hype words that we when we're talking about moving people, we talk about safe journeys, sustainable life, and then effortlessness for people. So as I said, we are successful if you don't see us around you. We want to leave a positive mark on the planet as well. So sustainability is definitely a big thing for us as well. KONE in numbers, I like to show this because this gives you a scale to what we do. So we move around 2 billion people every day. So that's a lot of people. We were founded in 1910, Finnish-owned company. Started as a small local company in Finland, and we have been during the past 10 years. We've been actually growing and growing to be a more global player. So it's only like a little portion of what we do actually happens in Finland. We are still headquartered in Finland, and we have an R&D center here and headquarters in Finland. But when we talk about the scale of things, what we do, we 750 units delivered per day. So that means new installations, elevators, escalators installed somewhere around the globe. We maintain, our maintenance base is now officially 1.6 million, almost up to 1.7 million at the moment, which means that we have a lot of maintenance visits every day. We have around 600,000 customers worldwide. So it's a definitely a big global reach that we do, and over 60,000 employees. So there's quite a lot of us. So we don't even know everybody who works for KONE. So I sometimes get questions that, do you know this and this from KONE? I'm like, definitely not, because there are so many different people working for KONE. Global presence here. So you can see that we are in quite many countries around the globe. Headquartered, as I said, headquartered in Finland, and we have an R&D center in a tiny Finnish town called Hyvinkää. Other R&D centers are located in Kunshan in China, Chennai in India, and then Allen in the US, and then Torreon in Mexico. So definitely when we talk about global work, our teams are located on basically many different time zones here. So my workday might start early in the morning working with the China team, and then end up quite late with the US team. So there's also that aspect to the work, but it's also really nice working with different people from different countries. So we definitely see many different types of requirements and different type of opportunities within the different sites. There are a couple of areas that we are not there yet, but not sure if we actually want to go to all of them, but we do have a lot of playground with these ones here. When we talk about elevators, escalators, so you might think of like a mechanical things, equipment, but what has been happening during especially rapidly now during the past 10 years is that digitalization is a transformative force that actually is redefining the industry, and that pace is basically increasing every single day. So all of our new equipment that we manufacture, they are natively connected to the cloud, and we get a lot of data out of them. So IoT has been the hype word in the escalator industry for, as I said, for the past 10 years. So, and then understanding what we can actually do with that data. So it's not only a box that actually moves, but it's increasingly a software system that actually moves the people around. At the same time, when we talk about connectivity and clouds, we have a customer base that actually demand a lot of real-time information. So they want to know if the equipment is actually working, if there are faults there, how are we actually servicing that, and what type of things we are doing to that. So they are requiring that type of information where they want immediate responses. If something is broken, they want that fixed. And actually, preferably, they want it fixed before it actually breaks, so that there are no so-called call-outs, which means that you cannot get from one place to another in a building, for example. And full transparency from beginning to end. So there are increasingly a lot of information that our customers are demanding from us with regards to what we do. And saying this, it's not only that we actually manufacture these equipment, we also service them. So half of the revenue of what we do actually comes from the maintenance business. So that's why it's really important that our customers are also happy with how we maintain and service our elevators. Connectivity at the core of what we do. It is a key enabler for the value that we keep to customers, and then for the smarter service delivery. But we can talk about data more about the data in a bit and how we actually then use that to connect that with the information that we create. But let's move on to fluid topics. So Fabrice, if you can introduce what you do.
Thanks, Anna. Impressive numbers, I must say. You say half of your revenue comes from the maintenance business.
Yes.
How many people is that? Because you are 60,000 strong, but how many people are on the maintenance side?
We don't really have I don't really have an exact number of how many service technicians we have, but we're talking about 80,000 maintenance visits a day. So that's a lot of, so on average, we're talking about a little less than 2 hours per one service visit. So you can maybe calculate some numbers of that, but one maintenance technician can fit some maintenance visits into one day. So it's a lot of people who are working.
It's about 25, it means 20 to 25,000 technicians.
Yeah.
Oh my God, okay. So 25,000 technicians, and that's challenging for servicing 1.6 million units, and you do 600 to 700,000, 60,000 operations a day. Wow. Okay. Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, they are big numbers, and that actually gives a lot of value, not basically value, but stress to how we actually have to make things efficient. So you cannot really just call somebody if you have problems you don't know what to do. Because there are so many people that you would be getting these end-to-end calls like from for your supervisors. So it's a global business and it needs to be efficient.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The scale itself becomes a challenge just by the numbers. See what I mean? What could be simpler at 100 or 1,000 operations a day when we are talking tens of thousands of maintenance operations a day with tens of thousands of technicians 24/7? That becomes in itself something that is beyond what many companies do in the world. I mean, it's huge. Okay, impressive. Well, for us, a bit smaller, not by much, but well, 120 people strong, and we're all dedicated. The company is all dedicated to reinventing the way technical documentation, product knowledge is used to transform exactly what you described, which is customer support and field service operations in many domains. So I guess you're a bit a mix of software, high tech, and manufacturing. So maybe you fit a bit, can fit a bit in multiple categories here, considering
we mostly call it mechatronics, that what we do, but then of course combined with the software as well. So there's a lot of mechanics, there's electronics, there's software, and increasingly also like smarter technologies, AI, and all that type of things. So we fall into many categories.
You span 3 categories at least for us. Okay, so yeah, that's what we do. We help our customers and global companies mostly solving those complex issues you described. And what we do on the next slide is the platform itself. It's a SaaS platform, and the platform itself is designed, engineered to help our customers unify all the product, all the content, the technical documentation, the product knowledge that is scattered in multiple silos, in multiple formats, to build this unified knowledge repository. And then from that single source of truth, feed all the applications and touch point that they have, whether they want to build a documentation portal, plug products, field maintenance applications. AI is a big thing, and you know that AI works only as good as the content that feeds it. So you need to prepare the content, and that's a huge part of what Free Topics does. Maybe a few years ago, the main thing was unifying the content to make it readable by humans. So that was the doc portal thing. But we see more and more the use case where that same single source of truth now is as well leveraged to connect chatbot, AI agents, and we serve the content as well that is optimized for those AI agents, not just for human reading. So that has extended the value of what we do, but as well the what we do inside the product, so that we can serve both the content to humans and to AI systems as well. So optimizing content for AI. So that's the story behind Free Topics, and this is what we do every day.
And it's also interesting because we have been working together for many years already. So we've also seen Fluid Topics grow You say that you're not as big as we are, but you used to be definitely be smaller when we started off, and now you actually are huge compared to that. So you have been growing a lot, and with regards to people you employ, but then also with the features that you offer through your products. So it's been an interesting journey together.
Right. Back to you.
All right. Let me share a little bit of KONE technical documentation, what we do. We actually are called now KONE Information, but information might give you an idea that we handle all of the information. So I still talk about technical documentation when I present what we do. As Fabrizio mentioned, content is the one that rules it all, in a way that if you feed crap into a system, it will definitely, the output will be crap still. So you might have the smartest AI in the world, but then if the information that you feed into that is of no value, you are not getting that value out of it. So definitely content does rule it all. And it's been an interesting journey for me as well, because as I said, 20 plus years in the domain. Technical documentation maybe used to be more of a like a super function, but at least at KONE now, we are definitely a big part of the product itself, and not only something that is legally required and we need to go and put something somewhere so that we fulfill the legal requirements, but we definitely are a big part of the product that KONE is developing and maintaining. But then when you talk about content, you cannot have content without the tools, because these are the enablers. So if you don't have any tools, or if you don't have any content, of course the tools don't do anything. But if you don't have the tools, the content doesn't get anywhere, or you don't have the proper things. So it's really important that you have the tools that actually fulfill the requirements of your organization. So we've been definitely also trying to work in that respect, that we work with the best in class vendors, so that we actually do get our job done. So these are the two, and I see that these are definitely intertwined in a sense that you need to have both sides working to be able to successfully deliver something that is a diamond instead of the crap I was talking about. This is now a part. So when we talk about KONE technical documentation, we have several different things that we do there. So as I said, one big part of what we deliver is guidance, instructions to the field, and that means installation and then maintenance in our case. So these are all KONE internal instructions. They are not publicly available. So we do that type of work in-house. And then we have a third sector that is like a cornerstone, that is a sales support for our salespeople. It's a highly technical product, so they need a lot of information when they are selling an elevator, for example. So what type of elevator is fit for what type of building, what type of shaft, the measurements and all that. So these are the three big things that we do. And then there's a part of owner's manuals. We do that as well, but it's a really short and a small in comparison to the others. So you don't really need instructions when you're using our, so the end users themselves, they don't need instructions when they're using our equipment. But then building owners do need a little advice on how to, for example, rescue people out of elevators if it gets stuck, or then how to do some preventive maintenance on safety components. So that is delivered. But we mostly work, my focus has been on maintenance for some years already, to deliver the best performance there. And this is something that I wanted to show really quickly on when I talk about us being a part of the product itself. So when our people, our maintenance technicians, they go on site and start maintaining something, when we go back, like let's say 20, 30 years, we were not that big of a company. And then you would have these experts who would know like what to do. So they would go on site, have like a expertise to fix things. And if they didn't know what to do, they could call somebody, call a supervisor and say that, hey, I'm stuck here. What do? I have this fault here, or this doesn't work. But as I mentioned already, we cannot really do that anymore within with the scale of business that we have. Efficiency is definitely a key driver here. So what we want to we have been bringing into the game is access to information, which is surprisingly one of the things that people ask a lot. So when you talk to maintenance technicians and ask what their main pain points during their workday is, they usually reply that they don't have access to proper information. And we've been taking a lot of steps in that direction. But this is actually where I kind of want to see this happening, not the reality yet with all of the features, but we want to be able to recognize components automatically, which means that we could then offer support, of course, for example, with smart glasses, recognizing components and automatically then layering instructions on top of it. I talk a lot about context-aware instructions where you can actually then tie in, for example, the state of the equipment, the service history of the equipment into the game, and then in an intelligent way compile instructions on the fly for that specific use case to fix that one specific equipment. Back reporting is something that everybody hates, so we want to make that automated as well. So once they do something, we recognize what they have done, and then it's back reported, and then it flows all the way to the customer. As I said, transparency is needed there. Task recognition side, what I'm also working towards is understanding what people do, things that we haven't actually captured yet. So people, experts who know what to do, how do we capture that knowledge from them? There are these old wise maintenance technicians who know what to do, but they are about to retire, most of them in Europe. So we want to make sure that we have all the information that they need. So how do you use novel technologies to actually understand what they have been doing, and how do you then transfer those skills to more novice type of people? You want to be able to detect errors when somebody does something that is unsafe, for example, trigger warnings instantly when that type of thing happens. So, for example, if you have live power on with some of the components, if they are approaching that component, then we would then display a warning that do not go there. And then again, back reporting on that task, what has been done as well. So these are the things that I'm working with, little baby steps, but hopefully we will get to this my dream in a sense at some point. TechDoc setup. Hi, Kristian, I'm handing it over to you now.
Yeah, thank you. So first picture is a little bit of a journey, and as you see, it's not always a really kind of quick fix for many things, but we have started early, and we have had a clear direction of how to kind of end up in something that is really fantastic at the moment, I would say, because we started with modular content management quite early, and it has evolved. Now you might see also that we started using fluid topics in 2017, so quite many years, soon to become 10 years. But we saw the kind of power of that quite early, and we have been building on those technologies. I had a couple of migrations. We tended to say that we love migrations at some point, Hanna, but we hopefully don't need to do so many anymore. But anyways, the path is upwards, I think, and yeah, looking forward to the next steps. But I think we have a quite good platform at the moment that we are.
We do, and we've just recently also integrated machine translation into internal machine translation into what we do. So there's always room for new integration, I say. So there's a lot to do. I think we've done a lot, but there are more things to do, I would say.
Yeah, and then
that's why hopefully going upwards and not downwards.
Yeah, next slide a bit technical, but just to kind of explain what we have in the kind of portfolio. So for the modular content authoring, we are using Adobe, but then we have like different platforms that we kind of benefit from, like single sign-on. It's really annoying for a user if you kind of need to have different logins. So this is something that we always integrate quite early, that depending on your department or your role, you should really not need to do anything with logins. So that's something that we always push in very early. still, I've been presenting this slide sometimes before as well, but still this is the fact. We are not using any thick client authoring. We are managing with web authoring only. Might be a surprise to some of you, but we are still in that, how to say, route. Probably related to Hanna, your ideas also, that let's not make things too complex in authoring, but keep it kind of simple. Don't do all the features of data that we have. We take them kind of piece by piece into use. Dynamic delivery of content is for images and videos, and then some integrations to asset tools and so on. But from our authoring, we are publishing content into the Fluid Topics domain or world, and I have a slide about that as well. Translation with phrase, but you can read this, so I don't go through. But take the next slide. I will want to still mention how we are utilizing Fluid Topics. So I mean, we are a global company, and we are also kind of using this master brand concept of Fluid Topics, which means that we are able to kind of create different brand type of portals internally, because it's a big company, so we might have a little bit different focus on the different portals that we use internally, and all of those can either be used as portals, like they used to be document portals. You've already told that, but also they are used as backend platforms for kind of applications. So there are a couple of different ones at the moment, and we are, how to say, trying to feed the right content to the right solutions based on this concept. So powerful and really nice.
If I can add something here, you're right. It's like forgot to mention that it's a headless first platform, API first platform, Fluid Topics, so you can build on it. And that's right. That one of the key features when we mentioned the fact that Fluid Topics is for unifying your content, means that really unifying everything you have, build the knowledge hub, and from that knowledge hub you can sort of sub-segment your content and build applications, portals that are just focused on one type of content for one use case, one brand, one country, one whatever. So you can build as many portals, and you don't have to run multiple Fluid Topics instances if you need to serve that more complex use cases of it's like publish once, reuse multiple times, and reuse everywhere. Really publish only once. And I think that's key, because that gives you this flexibility to suddenly say, oh, let's build an app that only sees that part, that's a part of the content, or let's build a portal dedicated to technicians in that part of the world or for that product lines or whatever. So yeah, that's an interesting use case. But always, I think people forget, because when we say, oh yeah, Fluid Topics, but create a single knowledge hub, it's okay, but we have more use cases. We create multiple single knowledge hubs. No, single means single. It's not multiple single knowledge hubs, just one, and then get that flexibility of reusing this unified repository to do whatever you want, almost dynamically. So.
Yeah. In our case, for example, we have products that are the same basically in rest of the world, and then on US side they have the same name, but then the so-called elevator code is different, so they have been implemented in a different way. So this gives us the chance now to serve our customers. We call it the ENA. TIP is our technical information portal. It's the front end for Fluid Topics. So that gives us basically our US operations the chance to access their own, and they don't have to then start filtering what would be US. So easier access for them for their own information. Quite powerful, and you can have as many as these as you want, but of course it takes a little bit of management then if you do multiple ones, but quite easy to set up. Did you, Kristian, want to continue with it, or are we ready to go forward?
Please go forward.
All right, then when we talk about content development on KONE's side, so I have a couple of slides here. As I said, IoT connectivity, that has been a big thing. I think all over different manufacturing companies, people have been talking about Industry 4.0 and connectivity. And we are, as I said, natively connecting all the new equipment. We are making sure that all the legacy ones do get connected as well. And we're getting lots of data out of the equipment. So there used to be a concept people talked about big data. It's definitely big because there's a lot of data coming in from a lot of these. We know the state of it. We know if they are running or not. We know how many times they actually are run. People are actually using them every day, and there's a lot of intelligence that actually comes out of that data. But does that data alone help perform the task? So if you deliver that data from the elevator to this guy, maintenance technicians, who is supposed to be doing something with the elevator, how does the data itself help them? In many cases, if you have like data that is not processed or in any ways filtered, then of course they don't have any way of utilizing that. So they might be seeing something from it, but no idea what to do with it. They might even see that something is broken, but they don't know how to fix it then. On the other hand, when we talk about instructions, this is an AI generated picture, so the guy doesn't have any safety shoes or anything required of our maintenance technicians, but you might recognize the situation. So if you have long complicated instructions, people say that we don't want to read this. I only need one detail. I want to find the one detail that actually fixes this thing. How do I find it? And when we talk about elevator installation, for example, we might be talking, if we look at the PDF file, it's easier to maybe to see the size of it. So it might be 700 pages, 800 pages. So how do you actually find something in that? So we don't want to cause that pain to our people. Another viewpoint is that when they are working on equipment like this, this is like a real life scenario coming in from they are working on elevator car roof. So this is the maintenance platform for our people. So when they are working with their hands busy with the equipment, how do they actually get read the instructions? How do they even hold a mobile phone there? So that's why we've been also heavily investing into understanding how we can use wearables to deliver the instructions. So for example, smart glasses there, and how can we actually use the same information that we use to what we upload to technical information portal? How can we deliver that to the smart glasses? So we don't need to tailor anything for those devices. So this is a big part of what we try to also develop at KONE. And then talking about the data, what happens when you turn that data into smart information for your users? So if you can tell that we can understand that this data coming in tells us a lot of things, and we can then deliver that in a refined way to the technicians. It actually gives a lot of business benefits as well. So this is a calculation that I quite often use. So if you take 10 minutes of each of these service visits, when we talk about 80,000 daily maintenance visits, that translates to the minutes translate into millions pretty quickly. So in our business, when we talk about savings from maintenance business, they mostly come from saving time. And surprisingly, once they have the instructions and know what to do, they can save a lot of time instead of just walking around the elevator or waiting for the technical help desk to call back on what to do. So this is one single key component in actually getting that maintenance visit time reduced, and then bringing in those precious millions into the company. So it's interesting that we can actually see a lot of business benefits also from delivering. Of course, it also makes their lives easier, so they are happy with the instructions, but then also business side of things are happy with this as well. All right, do you want to?
Yeah, can I have a question? And we never talked about that before, so it's real questions. It's even not prepared. But when I see that, you're mentioning that it matters to reduce the friction and the time technicians lose looking for information, so avoid mistakes and all that. Do you see as well benefits as part of your mission to help quicker ramp up of new technicians? Because probably you were mentioning before that those older guys that know all the tricks and can maybe don't need that much the documentation because they know everything. They've been there. They've been working on your elevators for like 30 years, and they have incrementally learned. You see what I mean? For the each time you have something new, they have learned incrementally, but the knowledge is absolutely tremendous. But then you've got those new guys coming in, and maybe that won't spend 30 years in your company. See what I mean? Turnover is more rapid, so maybe they will stay 2-3 years. You don't have the same time to train them, maybe. So is that part of, do you see a challenge there? And do you take that into consideration when you design your content, you design your application, the way you serve that content, taking into consideration this younger generation?
There's definitely as I said, there are a lot of people who know what to do, but it's actually surprising that even the experts now are saying that they do need help in, for example, with software related things. They haven't been doing those. So even if you are like an expert who has been working in a company for 30 years, you might still need to get support from the instructions with newer products or that. But definitely in the areas where we have been rolling out more and more during the past years. Of course, we have maintenance technicians who are more novice, and what we try to do with our information now, with modern technology, you can actually do a lot of things, but we try to design it so that it actually supports both the experts who usually just need a checklist of things to do. So they might not even, or then we need to have good search capabilities so that they can actually find that one detail that they want. And then we support the more novice type of things with like full instructions that actually do state all the safety information, all that they need to go through to get there. So we try to support both ends of the there used to be a lot of complaints that the experts weren't finding information in the long instructions that includes too many details, but we've tried to make it so that you actually can get filtered instructions for them, and in case they need instructions, like more detailed instructions, they can access them. So it's a layered approach that we use currently, and I think that is working nicely, so supporting different types of users there.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I thought that, as I said, I thought that experts said that they would say that they don't need instructions, but in a way, when I was doing some studies, some of them commented that it's actually really good to have the instructions there, because then if you don't know what to do, you don't have to lose your face. You can actually go and check yourself if you actually want to do that, and nobody knows that you are using the instructions. So in some of the countries, this is also like losing your face and doing that. So it's like a secret way of actually knowing what to do there. So they were quite happy with it. So it's an interesting aspect also.
Okay, thanks.
All right,
I remember you gave an example also that actually some of the experts, they also got a good feeling when they noticed that, yes, I've been doing it the right way always, because that is also something that we are, that's why in the new documents or information is important. We might change the method because of a safety reason. So we are kind of making sure that also the experts are getting benefits from the content.
Yes. Hey, let's talk about a little bit of one of the core functionalities on how we deliver information to apps and how we use. Do you want to, Kristian, take over here and explain what we do here?
Yeah, it's not complicated. No, I mean we have a modular content in our CCMS. We publish it to a delivery solution, and then basically we have applications that can query that based on metadata, so that they get the right content into their device. This is in a simple way how it works, so it's not complex at all. If you can take the next slide, I can tell you what or probably already talked about it a little bit, but I mean, this is what we have also. We have the well-tagged content in our CCMS, and we are publishing the content. There is a lot of reuse happening there in that CCMS, and whatnot features of data. We are translating them and everything like that, and then we publish to a delivery solution. Either as still some PDFs go out, but mostly it is HTML or XML. And in its simplest form, a delivery solution could be like a file share, or it could be your company website. But what we get from Fluid Topic is that we have a way of kind of using the metadata that we have in the content to filter, and also like the already mentioned a couple of times, the API option. I mean, we can really fetch small content pieces that we kind of use in exactly the right place where we want to use it, and those are the options, I think. And what I'm kind of saying also, you might have a company where some people think they should build this themselves, the delivery side. I'm not proposing that. I think don't waste your time on to build something on your own. It's actually good to take something from the shelf.
And it's more complex than it seems.
Exactly.
We made it simple the same way you make your elevator simple. Nobody noticed because it's working, but it's complex to build. Same for us.
Yes.
Yes. We don't know half of what you do, Fabrice, so we definitely agree. So
I got a question here, because the previous slide, Anna mentioned that to solve the challenge of the newcomers and the experts, novice versus experts, you have a layered way of writing content. But here as well, I see that there's an impact on the way you design content, because it has to fit with the delivery mechanism, meaning the end device, whether it's an app or it's served in wearables or a small screen or on a laptop or long instruction, small instruction. So it looks like the content architecture itself, in fact, is driven or sort of forced by many different aspects, not just reuse, because we see usually people designing information, and particularly when you go data, that the key thing is, data is for reuse. So mostly we see companies that have designed their content architecture for optimizing the reuse of content and the granularity of their content. So the topic design and at which granularity they chunk the content is mostly, at least initially, driven by a reuse perspective. But it seems here that you have many more factors that are taken into consideration when architecturing, designing that content, whether, because there's reuse, this granularity across, sheer reuse for repurposing content, but across product lines, and then the delivery aspect of it, because the granularity of the content is the one that is used on the end device for serving that piece of content. And then that content itself has a layered aspect depending on novice expert. So it looks like pretty sophisticated. Maybe for you it's obvious what you do, but I mean, when I hear you describing all those constraints, oh my God, just the content architecture here, it's crazy.
Yeah, there definitely are the ones. You can, Kristian, continue. But then on the reuse side, and then managing a global team, of course, that is a challenge on how to do it, how to do that. But then when you want to deliver something like in a smart way, of course, that needs to be taken already into account when you are authoring it. So it cannot be so that you just publish something and then you just try to have a high hopes that it will work. So definitely there's a lot of thought that goes into this. But you can continue, Kristian.
Yeah, no, it's actually a very good comment, because of course we have done tricks, and that's why I think it's important that you have the authoring separated from the publishing, because exactly as you said, we have a different architecture in the authoring. It might mean that we are not as efficient in the reuse in the publishing, but it doesn't matter. The important thing is that in the like in the delivery platform, we have the correct metadata. Even might be that this now goes really technical, but I like to talk about this.
Yes,
so we might have something that we have reused in the authoring system, but we have actually duplicated it or created many instances of it in the delivery platform because it has different metadata. So we have kind of solved it in that way, because nobody is manually creating that. So that is the good thing. But it exactly as you said, there are different kind of drivers for making the authoring and translation and whatnot efficient. But it might be that for the application that use the content, it is actually not exactly the same that makes it efficient. So you are exactly right. Take the next slide. I think it's a little bit related to this one as well, because we notice that there are kind of two main principles here, that you can either publish the transformed HTML to your website or to be consumed by your application. But we also then took this, this thing into account as well, that we basically use XML, which means that we can use the rich semantic of the data XML to also drive things for the application. So there are, sounds complex when I talk about it now, but there are tweaks that can be used because we have well formatted and structured content that we start with. So you can do a lot of tricks on the way to make the perfect solution for that specific application.
I see the point. The richer the semantics and the more refined it is at the authoring moment, the more you can do downstream. And what it does not exist can barely be invented downstream. So you have to create this smart information before, and then you can derive lots of value from that afterwards.
Yeah. So but I think this is something that I heard also from others now working a lot with data. So it is wise to do normalization before you go to your delivery platform, because you kind of squeeze the content and make it really fit for purpose before you publish. But these are kind of details now on data level. But basically, most important thing, author with data, semantic content. Think about the reuse there. You have a lot of options down the line before you then hit the application itself.
And I don't think we've seen the full power of data yet. So it used to be, first start, and people maybe thought that, okay, this thing is done developing this, but definitely we are building now UIs with the data dynamically on the fly. So definitely you can do a lot of things with data XML.
Yeah, I think I have one conceptual slide after this to kind of highlight exactly what you said. So what we are basically doing now when we are building our applications, we have a combination of predefined HTML and XML. Then we have application fetching that content, packaging it into the software, but we also have parts of the content in the application itself is actually dynamically fetching it from our portal, which means that you don't always have to have a new software build. You can drive so much just with the content itself. And the same content we are using in the PDF document as well, because we still have to do it. And same content we show in the portal, the same content is also driving the user interface. So when we sell this internally in the company, it's not so hard. They see the benefit, so it's easy selling at this point.
Yes. Hey, let's move on. I think we will be.
Sure.
Let's move on to the enrichment capabilities of Fluid Topics, because I wanted to have a slide on that as well.
Yeah, we wanted to discuss a bit that we said, but we'll go fast because the next one slide only, and next we move to GenAI, and I want to listen what you do with GenAI. So I'll be fast on that one. So I think the discussion we have, and one thing that you do that is another aspect of your content architecture and the way you create your content and you manage your content, and you mentioned it several times, it's metadata. I think what is key in what you do is that there's nothing like the documentation that exists for a lifetime of an elevator, because it's a moving target. An elevator is always an always changing thing. Through maintenance operation, you can change the engine, the rope, the carb. So the documentation of one elevator itself is something that evolves over time the same way. And then you've got this bill of material, the support bill, the service bill of material of the elevator, which describe the configuration of the elevator at one moment in time. And you've got your content. And the key thing that I think is a bit of the black magic when it's done right. It looks easy, but it's not that simple to do. What we see among our customers is how can you manage your content on the one side almost independently of the devices, the elevators in your case, and still at some point be able to map what content applies to what elevator. You know what I mean? Because the elevators are designed by engineers somewhere. You create your content, but at some point it has to fit together. And you don't want to bear all the constraints on how people name things, or you want to retag your content. So there's a bit, there's something that is a bit complex here.
Yeah. We wanted to take this slide in here as well, because this is also actually one very powerful feature of Fluid Topics, which we actually have been using from the very beginning. We have a lot of metadata that we are tagging to the content.
Yeah.
But exactly as you said, we might have content that fits for a specific elevator type, and we publish that. Then comes a new product, but the documentation is still valid, to avoid having to always republish everything and tag it again and whatnot. The feature of enriching and using vocabularies in Fluid Topics allows us to kind of enrich the metadata taxonomy even after it is published. So we do not always need to retag and in the authoring. We can do it in the delivery platform, and this is really powerful. We have noticed also now when we come to AI that we can create new metadata based on existing ones. So we have not a large set, but we have a kind of dedicated set of metadata that the authors are using. We can combine them in new ways and have relations with those metadata and whatnot. We can create new metadata that the AI bots like, which kind of tells relationships that we didn't even think about when we authored. So we wanted to have this here because it's actually a very nice feature of Fluid Topics.
And we've been able to enrich now content that has been published like years and years back, and we haven't had to actually republish. So I don't want the writers and information designers spending all of their time just with metadata. I want them to be actually able to create that quality content. So we can take some of the burden off. So they do the basic metadata, and then we do magic on Fluid Topics side with the enrichment. So it's I haven't heard actually anybody complaining about metadata anymore. So we talk about the importance of metadata a lot, but I haven't really heard of anybody complaining anymore. So they understand that there's a lot that we actually are doing to replace the manual work that they would need to otherwise do.
Okay, because otherwise, if you don't do automatic retagging as we do, you have to open your content, add more metadata values, and you do that manually. It's pretty cumbersome and error prone. Okay, so
it's a high volume that we do. We publish around 1,200 documents, new or updated documents yearly. So it would be high volume that we would need to update. So it's also something that
baseline and translated and whatnot. It is heavy.
And it slows the business. It slows down the business a bit as well. Because when you do that, you don't write. I mean, it's time spent on just upkeeping and maintenance of content just for retagging. But while you do that, which is a bit painful, you don't write at the same time. You don't produce something valuable as well.
Yes. Okay. We want to be efficient in all the operations. So this is one example. Hey, let's move on to the GenAI, because I think maybe the hot potato that everybody still needs to include all the presentations. So I'll shortly tell you about what we actually do on the GenAI. There are many initiatives within KONE. So with R&D processes, and there are multiple ones, but I wanted to tell you about Technician Assistant that we have introduced. So when I talk about support for people, technicians, of course, they can always go to our Fluid Topics portal and search for information. But as you've noticed, we actually like to build in a lot of connections to the work that they do. So if they are troubleshooting something and we cannot really tell them currently that this is the solution, this is what you should be doing. If they need information, we have introduced a GenAI chatbot to them, and that is their first layer of support now, so that they can go in, ask a question, and it will run a search within our publications in Fluid Topics. There are some other data sources there as well. It will run a search there and then compile a summary. GenAI is really good with summaries, so it will compile a summary with links pointing back to the original ones in case they actually need to verify that information. So we're making sure that we are not creating any risks there either. But this is something that we have done, and well, when I said current, because we have been piloting this is now in a way live, but current situation, of course, we are not seeing the full effects of this yet. But if the old setup used to be so that technicians are, if they are unable to solve a problem at hand, and then they contact our technical help desk. So we're talking many calls to technical help desk every month. And what they do, they will check, of course, they will go and check any documentation that has been published or any data, and then tell the technicians that this is the way it's solved. In some cases now, technicians have had to wait for 3 hours for a reply, for example. Of course, when I talk about the efficiency, that doesn't work with it. So with the technician assistant, when we talk about the GenAI chatbot, the first layer is that they have that available, they can check that, and our thinking is that the simple cases can be resolved with that. And we're also following up on the rate of satisfaction, for example, from coming in from the users, so that they actually are telling us that does this help them at all, and they seem to be happy with it. So instead of waiting on the phone, they will just use their natural language, type in a problem, and then they will get a reply back suggesting possible things that they can do there. We're not getting rid of the people here in the loop, so we actually are now reserving the in-person technical support, the help desk, for the more complex cases. So in case they cannot work this thing out with the GenAI chatbot, then they can always call that. But of course, reducing the number of calls for simple things is the key here. I'm not really talking about content creation. Some people say that this would be content creation because it does generate that summary. I'm more talking about this as a GenAI as a delivery channel, instant access to the information. People don't have to look for the right keyword, for example, but getting in there with their natural language understanding, using their own language, which is big part of this picture, as well as the machine translation is connected to this. So instead of going somewhere trying to figure out what am I looking for, which product am I working with, they will then instead of that, they can use their natural language as if they were talking to a person. Of course, when we first started, the developers said that we'll just scan all the PDF files that there are, and I said that let's not go into that direction, because that with our update cycles, it would take basically we would be feeding in the PDF files into the system all the time. So that's why we have a system where it's always requesting the files directly from Fluid Topics instead of having a set of trained to the system. We do have an LLM. We do have a rack there that have been part of the system. But then the live search into the portal is key part of this. What happens? Machine processing loves the structured information. So I've actually and of course, combined with the well-designed metadata, even the enriched metadata that we talked about. My problem is that they're saying that we want all the information from all around the company into the Fluid Topics because it works so well. And I'm saying that we might have a slight problem because it's not DIDA XML, all of it, but this works like magic in that sense that it's definitely much more powerful than using those PDF files on it. What we do there, really short, like technical insights. So we know when they are working with an equipment, we already know that they are working with that specific one based on their service order. So we know some key factors that we usually know what the product is that they are working with. It's in our master data. We know some of the components at least. When I say some of them, it depends really on some of the old legacy ones do not have that good of a master data. Some of the newer ones have really good. So there's a certain set of things that we know. And when we start the process of getting the information from fluid topics, we turn to the metadata. So if we know that they are working with our KONE monospace elevator, we filter anything, basically take out the information that is tagged with KONE monospace. And then we usually restrict the searches to tasks because they are looking for like something that will help them to resolve the case. So some type of a procedural information. And then, for example, the electrification that we know from the master data. And here we go. We actually already have a limited set of information that we can, and it's relevant to the case. So instead of running a full search on everything that we have ever published, we actually are first doing this metadata search to limit the contents, and then the reply will be based on that. And it actually works nicely that it is usually quite relevant to the equipment that they are then trying to service there. And then on the fly translation gives them the capability of using French, for example. So it will just use the English corpus there, but then translate the prompts and the question, the basically the interaction with the chatbot into the local language of the person using it. But this is how it works in short. But it's a powerful thing and it seems to be well liked by the technicians as well. Anything you want to comment from this? I think we're running out of time here. It is.
Yes, yeah, you got a slide that we have one or two questions for you. So go
Yes.
for the next slide, this last
All
slide,
right.
and then we have questions.
Yeah, this is just a short one. People call it a game changer here. I always say that it's not really for us because we knew it all along. We knew the power of structured information and metadata, but for the people actually who were not that familiar with the system, it seems to be a game changer, and I definitely agree that it is magic in a way. But I say that we've only gotten started on this journey, so it's only the beginning, and I think we're only scratched the surface. So there's quite a lot more that we can do in this respect.
Okay, thank you. Got a question for you from Jonathan. Question is, are you publishing content to free topics in the form of manuals or guides?
We always do.
Or are you publishing your repository of topics that then get assembled or surfaced based on end user information like user role, email domain? So it's about how dynamic do you make those documentation that you render? Because you can publish them as guides, but still be rendered by filtering out some content. So what's your strategy here?
We actually use both. So traditionally, there's a lot of legal requirements. So you saw that we're still publishing PDF files also to our PDM. So we need to have those full publications, but we also have a library of tasks type of things that we've introduced during the past 5 years, I would say. So we do both. You can also use the full publications. I don't like to call them manuals anymore. So I usually call this just publications of information. So of course you can utilize the topics in them and reuse them on the fly. But more and more we are moving towards compiling, publishing libraries, task libraries, and then compiling the instructions for the users on the fly, based on their needs and based on the equipment that they are working with.
Okay, so
exactly, and in some cases we always kind of publish them in a context of a guide, but we might not make it visible to the portal user. It's only visible, available for the application.
Yeah. So like the manual. So to reply to Jonathan's question, so you still publish manuals and guides in data. So you send the data files, but even though they are published as guides, the use of it, the delivery that can be transformed and dynamically reassembled for a more contextual purpose. Okay, so you do both. So yeah, I think Jonathan gets the answer. I got a question for you. You were mentioning translation. I think it's a super hot topic. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're not translating with LLMs, but MT engines. So you've got your own, it's a trained machine translation system because it's faster. So because when we start talking about translation, some people think, oh, it's LLMs. So no, it's an MT engine that you have, trained MT engine.
Yeah, we do. We have stayed away from from GenAI translations. You cannot really guarantee that it will always be the same. We have a high risk business here, so we also need to make sure that the translations are okay, and there needs to be some stability with them. So we are still using MT, but we are of course looking into how we can then. I think the future is going to be something like you still utilize machine translation, but you can then combine some of the capabilities of GenAI on top of that, because GenAI is good with the language, the actual flow of language, which is not the strong suit of the MTs. MTs are really good with like validated segments and terms and all that. So if you can combine these two together, I think you're getting something really good out of it. So
okay, so but because I guess you had your translation memories and glossaries that you could upload to the MT to make sure that you were constraining in some way the translation and get to the point where you have this replicable translation and not something that's changing every time. So you can control the quality, and you're satisfied really, because we hear a lot of things. I mean, I guess you've run some validation of the quality of the MT, and your legal or your risk department validated the fact that MT is good enough once trained and properly set up. MT translation is good enough so that you can use it without any human in the loop now?
In most of the cases when we are delivering something for the people for work instructions, we still validate that with somebody, humans, but more and more, of course, the more you translate on that, the less validation you need. So some of the languages we've been translating forever, so the MT quality is really good. Then when we enter the game with the new language that we haven't translated into before, we are, for example, now experimenting with 7 or 8 Indian languages that we haven't translated to before. So of course it does require somebody to check on the content of it, I mean the quality of it. So it really depends now on how we go. But for example, with French, it's actually really good. The quality is really good out of MT now. So depending on the language, but we are at 50 languages, I think, at the moment. So it's a complex system as well.
Okay.
I think also worth mentioning that it's a security issue for us. So it must be a one-to-one translation, because we don't really want warning to be missed out, for example. So that's why the TMs are good. We can use 101% matches. Those we rely on, but still, depending on the kind of content, we cannot yet go with anything less than human checked.
Okay. Get it. Thank you. Another question comes is, how do you manage and align the work of a global team? It's like more on the process side. It's like you mentioned that.
Yeah, there's a global presence, so we are basically in 4 different countries, and of course the time zones alone mean that China and US, for example, Mexico, they are never in the office at the same time. So there's a lot of coordination that goes on managing this. But we've also had set this like a different roles for the team. So we work, of course, we have global roles that work with all the teams, and then we have product owners who actually then maintain the quality and basically the practices of their own. So for example, a product owner for maintenance documentation, maintenance instructions. So the idea is that once we establish some of the conventions, new ways of doing things with data, for example, it goes down through our product owners to the actual information designers and then to writers and illustrators. So we have these different streams that we try to make sure that everybody knows what they're doing. And then if they need hands-on help, there will be always somebody who would be also helping. We also have key users in different countries to help people with the technical details of authoring data and all that. So, but it's also like a thing that you need to have in place when you're working. We're around 50 members on our team, so you definitely need to have these. And we don't get to see each other that often when you think about the different locations.
Okay. I think it's an hour and almost 15 minutes. Probably we should let people go unless they have more questions. So we'll give you a few seconds more to ask any question. Trish, do you have any question?
Oh, no, but it has been wonderful. I've learned so much. It's been amazing. Thank you so very much. Just wanted to remind everyone that we are recording. We